need to... I'm going to keep going. This is so interesting. It's so cool. Okay, so we're reading about the dwarves. We're in a meeting, and the dwarves have been representing people in Orem and Provo somehow. Really funny. Okay, that makes sense because of what happened to me. You know. I messed up. I should have, when I complained about Mormons or whatever, I should have wrote them a letter. I didn't need to do it in the open like I did. It was probably very embarrassing and hurtful. They probably cried and got really mad and was like, you're going to pay for this. Who knows. I didn't need to tell people on Facebook like I did. Anyways, so here we are. I can't have another cigarette again. Raistlin can't be real. Can though. So my very first cigarette, I didn't start smoking until 23 or so, and it was because I was on the ankle monitor or something, and I was just curious why people liked it. It's like, why do people like this? It was so stupid though. Duh. But yeah, I smoked there. Was I 23? Maybe I was 21, 22. Anyways, the coughing up blood thing that Raistlin does seems to come from warning me about smoking because of goth clubs, and I need to not be tempted to bum a cigarette from somebody at a goth club. And that's the biggest struggle right there. But it wouldn't really be difficult if I wasn't so going through such a hard time. Like if I had my partner and stuff, it wouldn't be as difficult. Nearly as difficult. My God. But anyways, so let's go back to this. But yeah, I used to hear that clove cigarettes had fiberglass in them. So that would mean, and that they would make your lungs bleed if you smoked them. So yeah, I need more. Well, if you check out my Dragonlance videos, they're pretty cool, pretty weird too. I want to do something for Michael. He would be the reason that the Zach Saroth runes are found underground, because he lived on Menlo Street. It's pretty cool, but I want to, get together the people that knew him and go to the locations where this happened and know the difference and do something for him that makes him look, the best we can. That would be true. So that, and then, because he jumped off a building, and so like the high bolt thing or whatever, with the coming from the Gully Dwarf, is like a prayer so that he doesn't do it. But I mean, he was a handsome man, but I should have woke up to it more when he said what he said to me. He said he was going to kill himself when he got old. But I was pretty sad. Anyways, okay, so back to the Gully Dwarf, or the dwarves. So Gully Dwarves would represent like people that are always stoned. They're always like smoking weed, so they don't count more than 2. That's pretty funny. Anyways, okay, so beggars, is it? What are we looking at here? So the dwarves are talking. I can't remember what was happening, but I remember where I left off. Okay, so let's see. No, by Reorx's beard and his forge and his hammer will come back, but it'll be as conquerors. We'll have what is rightly fully ours and teach you a lesson to boot. What does that mean? So, talking about with this hammer, are those the hill dwarves? That makes sense to me, because it seems to be representing my friend's father. Because a long time ago, I should have done more to contact them, but I wrote a letter about Ben he was like he is a direct descendant of Martin Harris that invested in that church, and he's had some hard times or whatever, and he's really smart, he's very gifted. I know, I need to do more to ask for help, because it's truly sad what happened to him and everything. I know that he would be very gifted and very talented, and it's going to waste because he was really smart. He's deaf in one ear, so he was a better listener than other people, and he was like passing, like in school, he was able to listen and stuff like that. I don't understand. I think it's because he was deaf, so he's always trying to, But anyways, it was less distractions. Okay, so you'll come, you sniveling cowards. Duncan sneered. Oh, I understand. Hiding behind the skirts of a black-robed wizard and the bright shields of human warriors, greedy for spoils, they'll stab you in the back and then rob your corpses. You should know better about robbing corpses, Rhaegar shouted. You've been robbing ours for years. That's so funny, because Rhaegar, I believe, is synchronized as Hal, because he's married to Martha. And so there's Martha Harris. And so his name, Rhaegar, makes sense because it's, where are you headed? You're locked in Martha, or Harris, because they had kids together. It's so funny. And so he's Fireforge. Flint Fireforge has synced as my friend Ben. Because he was always wanting to do something to get taller. He was seriously an addict. That's really sad. But so that's really funny. Because Martha, they were totally clueless. They really didn't know about their parents either. So the 6 clan members sprang out of their chairs, and Rhaegar's escort jumped forward. The Dewar's high-pitched laughter rose above the thundering shouts and threats. The High Gug crouched in his corner, his mouth wide open. The war might have started then, and there had not Caras run between the two sides, his tall figure towering over everyone. Pushing and shoving, he forced both sides to back off. Still, even after the two were separated, there was the shout of derision, the occasional insult hurled but at a stern glance from Caras, these soon ceased, and all fell into a sullen, surly silence. That name Caras is funny, because it's like, I wonder if it'd be like Jerry or something. It's so funny, because it's K, Har, like Harris, or Martha, and then As. Wow, that's so cool. I seriously think it's cool too. Caras spoke, his deep voice gruff and filled with sadness. Long ago, I prayed the God to grant me the strength to fight injustice and evil in the world. Reorx answered my prayer by granting me leave to use his forge, and there, on the forge of the god himself, I made this hammer. That's like saying you were a bad influence on your family and the church and everything. It has shown he was a hippie. The dwarf he's talking to, kind of. Not kind of, he really was. It has shown in battle since fighting the evil things of this world and protecting my homeland, the homeland of my people. Now you, my king, would ask of me that I go to war against my kinsmen. That's like saying, you think it's okay to use drugs? And you, my kinsman, would threaten to bring war to our land? Is this where your words are leading you? That I should use this hammer against my own blood? Neither side spoke, because he did it too. Both glowered at each other from beneath tangled brows. Both seemed almost half ashamed. Caras's heartfelt speech touched many. Only two heard it unmoved. Both were old men. Both had long ago lost any illusions about the world. Both knew this rift had grown too wide to be bridged by words, but the gesture had to be made. Here is my offer, Duncan, King of Thorbarden. So who would Duncan be? maybe he would be like whoever is the Mormon leader or whatever now. You know? Because of the name the name starting with DU, and then N is for the children. I don't really know, because I'm not measuring thoughts that are timed to me there. I was just trying to figure it out. It'll probably come to me later. So let's see, where is this? It's too hard to read here. Here's my offer, Duncan, King of Thorbarden. Reghar said, breathing heavily. So, Reghar, breathing heavily. What does that mean? He's married multiple people? Well, he didn't have more than one wife at once, but he has had a lot of partners, probably a lot more than the other ones. I mean, I'd see him at parties and stuff with people. Who knows? He was kind of a party animal. Anyways, whoa. Okay, so here is my offer, Duncan, King of Thorbarden. He said, breathing heavily, withdraw your men from this fortress. He's saying, come outside and do something fun. Give Pax Tharkus and the lands that surround it to us and our human allies. Wait. Pax Tharkus. What actually is that? Is it just like symbolic? Give Pax Tharkus and the lands that surround it to us and our human allies. Give us 1/2 of the treasure beneath the mountain, the half that is rightfully ours, because he married Martha, because she's a direct descendant of Martin Harris. That's so interesting. And allow those of us who might choose to do so to return to the safety of the mountain if the evil grows in this land. That's funny. So it's basically my best friend's dad, Hal, the hippie, telling them, the Mormons of Orem and Provo, that are a lot more strict, to go out and have more fun. That's funny. Persuade the elves, those are people from Vegas, to lift their trade barriers and split all contracts for masonry work 50-50. In return, we will farm the land around Thorbarden and trade our crops to you for less than it's costing you to grow them underground. Huh? Oh, he's saying weed should be legal. That's true. He's actually on the left side. We'll help protect your borders and the mountain itself if need arises. He's saying so it's not illegal. Karas gave his lord a pleading look, begging him to consider, or at least negotiate. But Duncan was beyond reasoning, it seemed. Interesting. I guess that doesn't surprise me. He probably, hid his party side from his kids. Get out, he snarled. Whoa. Return to your black-robed wizard. Return to your human friends. Let us see. So human friends would be non-Mormons in this case. Let us see if your wizard is powerful enough to blow down the walls of this fortress, or uproot the stones of our mountain. Let us see how long your human friends remain friends when the winter winds swirl about the campfires and their blood drips on the snow. What does that mean? It means, let's see, winter winds, that would be, it means, let's see how much loneliness you create by people being alone on Christmas, is basically what it's saying right there. Wow. Reghar gave Duncan a final look. That's a super conservative guy looking at a hippie Democrat guy that used to be Mormon, but he kind of fell out. He's a Jack Mormon, I guess they call him. They called him. I don't know. Filled with such enmity and hatred, it might have well been a blow. Then turning on his heel, he motioned to his followers. They stalked out of the Hall of Thanes and out to Pax Tharkus. So the Hall of Thanes, interesting. Now the Hall of Thanes makes sense to be what I'm working on, but something that would be maybe the way that they want to do it, you know? Interesting. Pax Tharkus. So maybe the word Pax Tharkus, since it begins with a TH at the end, would be like, because the letter P is dreaming, and then there's axe, so it's like, we don't want people to be too cool or too liberal or whatever. Word spread quickly. By the time the hill dwarves were ready to leave, the battlements were lined with mountain dwarves, shouting and hooting derisively. Reghar and his party rode off, their faces stern and grim, never once looking back. This is so funny. Oh my god, there's gonna be so many people watching this. This is gonna be huge. They're gonna seriously laugh so bad. It's really cool. Actually, I haven't come across anything that would, like, there hasn't been anything that would make anybody not want it shared so far as I can tell. Besides, I better keep that to myself where I find it. I'll just be really careful and I won't go there. But, I don't know, it just seems like I think she would think it's really cool. How would she not think it's really cool? It seriously is really cool. Because of the debt that we would be to her for that happening is what would make it worth it. And why she'd be like, do it. Because then, as long as you do the same thing for me that you did for Mr. Menlo in the ruins of Zach Saroff. It's so funny. Oh my god. Okay, so anyways, word spread quickly. By the time the hill dwarves were ready to leave, the battlements were lined with mountain dwarves, shouting and hooting derisively. Reghar and his... Can I cross the street yet? When the hell can I cross this street? It doesn't even have like a way to cross it. There's no way to cross the street? What the hell? It makes me go over here to do it. Okay, I'll go over here. Whatever. Okay, so where was I? This is so fucking cool. Dude, so many people are going to watch this. They're seriously they're gonna be addicted to this. It's so interesting. It's seriously made it so much more interesting and cool. Like, how are they gonna not want to read it a bunch of times? They go, holy crap, how is that possible? That is so weird. Karas, meanwhile, stood in the Hall of Thanes. alone with his king and the forgotten Hygug. The 6 witnesses had all returned to their clans, spreading the news. So Gug, so the word Hygug, the forgotten Hygug. Oh, the Hygug means he could be suicidal because he's always smoking weed. The forgotten Hygug. So Crass, meanwhile, stood in the Hall of Thanes alone with his king and the forgotten Hygug because he don't want him to gulp. So Gug means he's too antisocial. He's too antisocial is the word Hygug. So you don't want him to be the gulp that is in the wrong direction. So I'm gonna kill myself or whatever, you know. Sad. So the 6 witnesses had all returned to their clans, spreading the news. Kegs of ale and the potent drink known as dwarf spirits were broached that night in celebration. So it makes sense that the Mormons, the most strict Mormons, would be dwarves and mountain dwarves, and mountain dwarves and dwarf spirits, because it's like saying you can't handle alcohol, not a drop of it, none of it at all. And you know, where they do actually have alcohol, it probably affects them a lot more than other people because they're not used to having it. So their tolerance isn't really there, built up, so they like get a lot more drunk and stuff. Because the name dwarf spirits is like, you know, you're not gonna stop, like you might as well not drink it. So, because like, why do you need to be taller? You're good enough. So, anyways. So the 6 witnesses had all returned to their clans, spreading the news. Kegs of ale and the potent drink known as dwarf spirits were broached that night in celebration. That is funny. Kegs of ale, like the weak Utah drink. Because they have different alcohol laws. Already, the sounds of singing and raucous, how do I say that word? Raucous laughter could be heard echoing through the great stone monument to peace. That's warning them not to drink alcohol at all, right there. What would it have hurt to negotiate, Thane? Crass asked, his voice heavy with sorrow. What would it have hurt to negotiate, Thane? Crass asked. No, wait, who's Crass at again? Oh yeah, he's okay. I don't know if I want to say his name. I don't want to be embarrassed. It's funny though. I think he would think it's cool. He'd probably be laughing his ass off when he finds it. It's really funny. Duncan, his sudden anger apparently vanished, looked at the taller dwarf and shook his head. His graying beard brushing against his robes of slate. Robes of slate. Oh, state. Robes of state. Oh, wait, hold on. Duncan, his sudden anger apparently vanished. This makes sense here, but they said it like that because he is kind of like Fizban, who would be a green robe, potentially, because he's like so high up in their church or whatever, and his wife might be okay with it or whatever, you know, I don't know. He's like, okay, whatever you want, I don't care. Is the green Rome attitude, I guess. Whatever other people are doing. But if you agree, I'll be black. Maybe that. That's funny. I don't really know. I mean, where it would be something bad, maybe truly helpful to somebody because of thinking about everything, and then, that would be participating in creating a dream from somebody else. Anyways, okay, so what I say? His graying beard brushing against his robes of state. So graying beard, what does it mean? Brushing against his robes of state. He was well within his rights to refuse to answer such an impertinent question. Indeed, no one but Karas would have had the courage to question Duncan's decision at all. Karas, Duncan said, putting his hand on his friend's arm affectionately, tell me, is there treasure beneath the mountain? Have we robbed our kinsmen? Do we raid their lands, or the lands of the humans, for that matter? Are their accusations just? So, the accusation that I have is that they prevented me from making money. That they were doing things like breaking my view counter and stuff like that. Well, I guess Mark helped them with that. Did it with them? I'm confused about that. Why are they both doing it to me? That's too much. It's, anyways. I deserve an explanation, And I don't want to do anything dishonest. I wouldn't need to. I mean, I'm very... it really would be wrong to do anything differently. And I'm asking, if I'm sharing too much and stuff, not telling me and blocking me, it's really messed up. Anyways, but I mean, well, whatever. Okay, so are their accusations just? No, Karas answered, his eyes meeting those of his sovereign steadily. Interesting, because a person who that is coming to my head right now with the reasons that I shouldn't be sharing what I was sharing. Okay. I deserve to see that, though, so that I get paid and I don't waste my time working on nothing, or working on something that doesn't get seen, or something that somebody else takes. He's not going to be against me. None of them will. You just need to know. So, Karas, okay, so, have we robbed our kinsmen? Do we raid our... Okay. No, Karas answered, blah, blah, blah. So Duncan sighed. You have seen the harvest. You know that what little money remains in the treasury, we will spend to lay in what we can for this winter. So they're saying they're justified where they spend their money. Where they're saying they're justified where the Mormons spend their money, or whatever. The extra help that they get for whatever it is. I don't even know. Tell them this, Crass said earnestly. Tell them the truth. They are not monsters. They are our kinsmen. They will understand. So who's he talking to? Oh, he's talking to Duncan. Okay. So he's talking the most strict Republican kind of. Sort of. So Duncan smiled sadly, warily. No, they are not monsters. I mean, I don't know if I could call him a Republican, but he would be. But what is worse, they have become like children. He shrugged. Oh, we could tell them the truth, show them even, but they would not believe us. They would not believe their own eyes. Why? Because they want to believe otherwise. Karas frowned, but Duncan continued patiently. They want to believe, my friends. More than that, they have to believe. It is their only hope for survival. They have nothing except that hope. And so they are willing to fight for it. I understand them. The old king's eyes dimmed for a moment, and Crass, staring at him in amazement, realized then that his anger had been all feigned, all show. Now, like I was bad once too. Now they can return to their wives and their hungry children, and they can say, we will fight the usurpers. Usurpers. I don't use this word typically. When we win, you will have full bellies again. And that will help them forget their hunger for a while. Karas's face twisted in anguish. But to go this far, surely we can share what little... My friend, Duncan said softly, by Reorx's hammer, I swear this. If I agreed to their terms, we would all perish. Our race would cease to exist. Karas stared at him. As bad as that? He asked. As bad as that? He asked. That's so funny. That's funny. I'm thinking about, like, the Mormon church leader giving Hal, why he doesn't want to give Hal, the leadership. Okay. I swear, if I agreed to their terms, we would all perish. Our race would cease to exist. As bad as that? He asked. Aye, as bad as that. If you only knew this, the leaders of the clans and now you, I swear you to secrecy. The harvest was disastrous. Our coffers are nearly empty. And now we must hoard what we can to pay for this war. Even for our own people. We will be forced to ration food this winter. With what we have, we calculate that we can make it barely. Add hundreds of more mouths. He shook his head. So while I was reading that, I felt like my friend that synced as Flint Fireforge let me know that he was also an elf. That's interesting. He's actually very attractive. Karas stood pondering. Then he lifted his head, his dark eyes flashing. If that is true, then so be it. He said sternly, "Better we all starve to death than die fighting each other." "Noble words, my friend," Duncan answered. The beating of drums thrummed through the room, and deep voices raised in stirring war chants. Older than the rocks, a Paxarchus, older perhaps than the bones of the world itself. Okay, I have to read this again, sorry. So Duncan nodded. Aye, as bad as that. So he's saying, don't follow Hal, the hippie, the liberal, the Democrat. Few only know this, the leaders of the clans, and now you. And I swear you to secrecy. The harvest was disastrous. Our coffers were nearly empty. And now we must hoard what we can to pay for this war. Even for our own people, we will be forced to ration food this winter. And with what we have, we calculate that we can make it, barely. Add hundreds of more mouths? He shook his head. Crass stood pondering. Then he lifted his head, his dark eyes flashing. He's saying we can't have handouts. That's his vote. If that is true, then so be it, he said sternly. Better we all starve to death than die fighting each other. Noble words, my friend, Duncan answered. The beating of drums thrummed through the room, and deep voices raised in stirring war chants. Older than the rocks of Paxarchus, older than perhaps the bones of the world itself. Oh. Right. Right there. Right there is where people it's reminding me where people will inevitably go when they're wondering what the Mormons are doing, and they're wondering if people were able to get their messages, if Lag was sealing them out for a reason, or I made something called the pointing bone thing on December 15th, so the bone and the bones of the world itself, and that is partially reminding me of how some of it's delusional, that they're actually not doing something where somebody will think that they are. You can't eat noble words, though, Karas. You can't drink them or wrap them around your feet or burn them in your fire pit or give them to children crying in hunger. What about the children who will cry when their father leaves, never to return? Karas asked sternly. Duncan raised an eyebrow. They will cry for a month, he said simply. Then we will eat his share of the food. And wouldn't he want it that way? With that, he turned and left the Hall of Thanes, heading for the battlements once more. That's really good. Should I stop right there? I don't want to. I want to get to chapter 2. Because I want to get back to Crysania and Raistlin. Okay, so there's one more little part here. As Duncan counseled Karas in the Hall of Thanes, that would be like going to church and attending their conference meetings and stuff like that. Reghar Fireforge and his party, they're not going, were guided their short-statured, shaggy hill ponies out of the fortress of Paxarchus. The hoots and laughter of their kinsmen ringing in their ears. They're going, I told you so. Because they didn't work as hard. They're partying too much. Rhaegar did not speak a word for long hours, until they were well out of sight of the huge double towers of the fortress. Then, when they came to a crossing in the road, the old dwarf reined in his horse. Turning to... that might be true. He might be sleeping with somebody that they would call bad names. Turning to the youngest member of the party, he said in a grim, emotionless voice, "Continue north, Darren Ironfist." Darren Ironfist. Interesting. That's funny. They use that word. Because it's like Daryl almost, but he's not working. The letter ends there. He's just like eating and loving. Why not just eat and love instead of so Daryl Ironfist. So that's because he's another Democrat. Get it? Iron Fist. That's so funny. The old dwarf drew forth a battered leather pouch. So they're hill dwarves because they're supposed to change. I get it. Wow. That's hilarious. Reaching inside, he pulled out his last gold piece. For a long moment, he stood staring at it. Then he pressed it into the hands of the dwarf. "Here, by passage across the new sea, find this Fistodonolus and tell him, that's my bad. Rhaegar paused, realizing the enormous right. But he had no choice. This had been decided before he left. Scowling, he snarled, "Tell him that when he gets here, he'll have an army waiting to fight for him." Interesting. Wow, this is so good. It's really getting better. It's so much more interesting reading it like this. This is seriously going to make them very interested. They're seriously gonna get a hoot. They're gonna seriously laugh their asses off. Here's the next chapter. A Sword and Roses. The thoughts that are entering my head right now, my ex-girlfriends, Kat and Nana, to make up Katona. I'm working on something right now for my ex-girlfriend because she lives in the Pearl District to bring her a letter Q, but I need to do my wife first that I'm dreaming about. I need to focus on her. Wow, that's incredible. Hit the vape, huh? No way. Okay. Wow. Okay, so wow, that was so good. I really want to read another chapter. Well, I'm excited for tomorrow then. I need to go to work. I need to find a place to live too. Because I get paid now. And I'm going to keep working. Get things off. This morning should be really easy. I just really need to figure out this stuff. Like, what is everything that I need? I guess I need to make sure I have a business license and everything all ready to go so that I can make sure I'm legal. I don't really know. I just got started, so I don't really know what I'm doing. That's really important. That's the most important thing. That was so cool. Wow. Very cool. Good night.